My fiancée laughed at the prenup and said, "Marry me as is or not at all." I calmly replied, "Okay." Then I canceled everything. She found out at her final dress fitting when no one was there. Hey Reddit. I was sitting in my garage with a cold drink and my dog, listening to voicemail number 6 from my ex-fiancée, Courtney. Each one's angrier than the last. The threats are getting creative now. Something about her dad's lawyers making my life miserable. Something about how I'll regret this forever. Good luck with that, sweetheart. I had a bottle of fish bait oil on the shelf next to the cooler because my dog goes absolutely feral for anything that smells like tuna. Great for training treats. Terrible for everything else. Stuff smells like a pier at low tide. This whole situation detonated about 10 months ago, and I'm still kind of amazed at how fast 2 years can collapse when someone finally shows you who they've been the whole time. Monday night, I was going over parts invoices for a custom LS swap we had coming in when my attorney called. She handles all my business contracts. Sharp, efficient, bills by the minute, and earns every cent. Clay, prenup's ready. Standard protection package. Your business assets, the house, premarital investments, clean and fair, everything we discussed. Little backstory. I, 37, male, and Courtney, 29, female, had been engaged for about 8 months at that point. Together, 2 years total. She moved into my place after her lease ended because it made sense at the time. We were building something, at least I thought we were. What she moved into wasn't some starter home. I own Apex Performance, custom automotive builds, performance upgrades, restoration. Started it 13 years ago with a maxed credit card, a rented bay in someone else's shop, and that broke guy hunger. First 2 years, I was sleeping on a cot in the back, showering at the gym, eating gas station burritos because clients paid net $60 and rent was due now. Now, companies valued around $1,800,000, 8 full-time techs, 2 locations, main shop, plus the paint and bodybuilding I added 3 years ago, equipment worth more than most people's houses, plus my place, 3-bedroom ranch I bought at auction 7 years ago, and spent 2 years making livable on nights and weekends. Foundation work, electrical, plumbing, roof, did about 60% of it myself, plus investments I've been stacking since I figured out that compound interest is basically free money if you're patient enough. My old man showed me the math when I was 19, sitting at the kitchen table with a calculator and a yellow legal pad. Clay, every dollar you put away now is worth $5 when you're 60. Start early or start never. He died 3 years ago, but I still hear his voice every time I move money into the brokerage account. I started early. The prenup was textbook stuff. My business stays mine. House stays mine. Her assets stay hers. $401K from her marketing job, savings, the Audi her parents helped her buy. If we divorced, she'd get reasonable support based on how long we were actually married. Fair deal. The kind any competent attorney would tell you is basic asset protection. My attorney had actually given me a look when I told her we'd been engaged 8 months without paperwork. Clay, you're lucky she hasn't already looked into what you're worth. Thanks. I'll bring her by tomorrow to review. That night, I made dinner. Grilled steaks, her favorite, medium rare, garlic butter, roasted vegetables, the works. Kept things easy, relaxed. I figured we'd have a quick conversation. She'd skim the document, maybe ask about a couple clauses, sign, and we'd move on. Simple. Courtney, my attorney finished the prenup. We can go over it tomorrow and get it signed. She looked up from her phone. A year ago, she'd have set it down, asked what was wrong. Now, she did that eyebrow thing where she's already offended before she's even processed what I said. Prenup? I thought we were past that. We'd talked about it briefly when we got engaged. I mentioned I'd want one given the business situation. She'd made some comment about trust and how prenups were basically planning to fail. I thought we'd circle back once the initial engagement high wore off. Figured reasonable people discuss these things like adults. She thought circling back meant I'd eventually cave like I apparently always did. We discussed it. My business needs protection. It's smart planning. Her face changed, not confused, annoyed, like I'd asked her to take out the garbage during her favorite show. Like my 13 years of work were an inconvenience to her evening. Clay, I'm not signing anything that screws me over if we divorce. That's not what it does. It protects what we each brought to the marriage. You should actually read it before I don't need to read it. I'm not signing. First red flag. When someone won't even look at the document, they're not interested in fair. They're interested in maximum. They've already done the math in their head. Half of $1,800,000 is a lot better than whatever they could build themselves. But I stayed calm. Courtney, this isn't negotiable. I won't marry without asset protection. She laughed. Not the laugh I fell for at that mutual friend's barbecue 2 years ago. The kind of laugh that says you're the dumbest person in the room. Asset protection for me. That's actually insulting, Clay. It's business, not personal. Marriage is personal. God, you're so transactional sometimes. She stood up, hands on hips. That pose she does when she thinks she's already won. I'd seen it 100 times over 2 years. Arguments about where to eat, whether her mom could extend her visit by another week, whether we really needed to spend another weekend with my friends instead of hers. Usually, I'd compromise on the small stuff just to keep peace. This wasn't small stuff. Here's the deal, she said, voice full of that I always get my way energy. You either marry me as is or not at all. No prenup, no contracts, no lawyers, just us. Take it or leave it. The ultimatum hung there. 2 years together, 8 months engaged, $30,000 in wedding deposits. And she was showing me exactly who she'd been the whole time. Not the woman who laughed at my jokes or brought me coffee when I was working late on estimates. The woman who believed my life's work should automatically become half hers the moment she said, I do. Okay, I said. She smiled. That triumphant little smirk she gets when she thinks she's won. Good. I'm glad you finally know. Okay. As in not at all. The smile dropped so fast you'd think I slapped it off. What? You gave me 2 options. I'm picking the second one. Clay, you're not calling off our wedding over a stupid contract. I'm not calling it off over a contract. I'm calling it off because you just told me you think marriage means automatic access to everything I built before I met you. That's not partnership, Courtney. That's a business acquisition. She stared at me for a second. Something real crossed her face. Loss? Maybe fear. Then the walls went up. Tears or anger? Double down or retreat? You're serious. Completely. Fine. Sleep on it. You'll come around. She went upstairs. Door slammed hard enough to knock a picture crooked in the hallway. I heard her pacing back and forth, then her muffled voice on the phone with someone, her sister probably, crafting the narrative. Poor Courtney. Engaged to a monster who cares more about money than love. I didn't sleep on it. Didn't need to. Called my attorney. She picked up on the second ring. It's Clay. Kill the prenup drafting. Engagement's off. Pause. Clay, you sure? People get emotional about prenups. Maybe give her time to. She laughed at it. Gave me an ultimatum. I'm taking door number 2. Longer pause. Understood. Files closed. Call me if anything changes. Nothing was changing. Next call. The wedding planner. 7 weeks out. $30,000 already spent. A fact Courtney never seemed concerned about since I was writing the checks. This is Clay. I need to cancel the wedding. All of it. Oh my God, the wedding is in 7 weeks. We just finalized the seating chart yesterday. The caterer needs final numbers by Friday. Engagements off, cancel all vendors, all arrangements, everything. Send me the breakdown of cancellation fees. This will be expensive. Cancellation fees, non-refundable deposits, venues with strict policies, probably $24,000, maybe $25,000 total, maybe more depending on how the farmhouse handles it. They've got a 30-day clause, $24,000. That number should have made me sick. Instead, it felt like the cheapest insurance policy I'd ever buy. Do the math. Half of $1,800,000 versus $24,000. Not even close. Do it. Cancel everything. What about Courtney? Shouldn't she be involved in Courtney? Made her decision. I'm making mine. I spent the next 3 hours systematically tearing down 6 months of planning. Every call, same script. This is Clay. The July 12th wedding is canceled. Please confirm cancellation fees in writing. Photographer, $1,800 deposit gone. She said we'd seemed like such a happy couple at the engagement shoot. Caterer, $7,500 for prime rib, premium beverage service. Late night slider station. Courtney had insisted our guests deserve the best. Funny how generous people can be with money that isn't theirs. The venue hit hardest. $12,000 for a renovated farmhouse 40 minutes outside the city. Courtney had literally cried when she saw it. Said it was everything she'd dreamed of since she was a little girl. I'd written the check without thinking because I wanted to give her that dream. Now it was a line item on a spreadsheet. By 1 a.m., I had a spreadsheet showing $24,847 in sunk costs, broken down by vendor cancellation policy, amount forfeited, and confirmation email timestamp. I saved the file as cheaplisten, XLSX, because sometimes you have to laugh. Tuesday morning, Courtney came downstairs in full makeup, wearing that sundress. She knows I like the whole production. Morning, babe. I made coffee. I was at the kitchen table confirming cancellations. 3 vendors had sent, "Are you sure?" Follow-ups overnight. Courtney, we need to talk. If this is about last night, I forgive you. She poured coffee like nothing happened. The prenup thing was hurtful, but I've thought about it. We can move past this. We don't need to let something like this ruin what we have. She forgave me for wanting to protect 13 years of work. Classic. There's nothing to move past. Wedding's canceled. She froze. Coffee mug halfway up. What do you mean canceled? I spent last night calling every vendor, venue, catering, flowers, band, photographer, transportation, all of it. Done. You can't cancel our wedding without asking me. You gave me an ultimatum. I answered it. I didn't mean cancel the wedding. I meant drop the prenup. That wasn't what you said, Courtney. You said marry you as is or not at all. I picked not at all. Those were the only options you gave me. Her face cycled through confusion, anger, and something approaching panic in about 3 seconds. Coffee sloshed across the counter. This is insane. You're throwing away our entire relationship over money. I'm protecting myself from someone who thinks she's entitled to half of everything I built before she existed in my life. Big difference. That's what marriage means. Sharing everything. What's yours is mine. No, marriage means building together from this point forward. It doesn't mean you get equity in 13 years of work you had nothing to do with. You didn't build Apex Performance. You didn't spend 2 years living in a construction zone renovating this house. You didn't eat ramen for 2 years so you could make payroll. I supported you emotionally for 2 years, not 13. And emotional support doesn't come with stock options. She started crying, real tears streaming down her face, smearing that careful makeup. The kind of tears that usually got her whatever she wanted. This time I didn't move. Where am I supposed to go? She was sobbing now. This is my home too. You can't just throw me out. This is my house, Courtney. Has been for 7 years. Your name's not on anything. You can stay through the weekend to figure out arrangements. That's more notice than most landlords give. She stormed upstairs. Door slam number 2, even harder than the first. I heard her on the phone within minutes, crying, ranting. Her sister, her mom, someone about how cold and heartless and unreasonable I was being, how she'd given me 2 years of her life. I had a 9 a.m. with a client about a '69 Camaro build. Wasn't about to be late. The next few days, she threw everything at me. Silent treatment, hostile sighs. The engagement ring left on the counter like bait, then taken back, then left again. Her best friend, Aaron, showed up with a rehearsed speech about emotional intelligence and meeting her where she is. I listened for 10 minutes, showed her the door, went back to work. Thursday night, she tried seduction. Came downstairs in lingerie, talking about how stress makes people say things they don't mean. How we could work through this together. Answers still no, Courtney. She kept waiting for me to crack. That's how it had always worked before. I'd stand firm on something minor. She'd make life uncomfortable enough, and eventually I'd compromise just to restore peace. This time I went to the gym at 5 a.m. Made my own meals. caught up on shows she'd vetoed for 2 years, slept in the guest room, and actually slept better than I had in months. Funny what happens when you stop walking on eggshells. Sunday morning, she left early, said she was going to her final dress, fitting with her sister Allison, and some friends who'd flown in from Denver. Big day. The last fitting before alterations would be final. I knew the appointment had been canceled, along with everything else. Wednesday morning. Bridal boutique confirmed via email. I didn't mention it. Some lessons need to land hard. Sunday evening, I was on the couch watching the game, actually enjoying the quiet for the first time in weeks when my phone lit up. Courtney's sister, Allison. Clay. What is wrong with you? Allison, the older sister who'd spent 2 years looking at me like I was something she'd scraped off her shoe. Not successful enough despite the profitable business. Not polished enough despite everything I'd built. Not the right pedigree for the family. Courtney could have done better according to Allison. Better meaning richer, more connected. Allison, what can I do for you? Courtney showed up to her dress fitting today, and the shop was dark, locked on a Sunday. She stood there for 20 minutes before someone finally answered the phone and told her the appointment was canceled days ago. She is absolutely hysterical right now. The wedding's canceled. I told Courtney that Tuesday morning, 5 days ago. You can't just cancel someone's wedding. I canceled my wedding, which is what I did. Do you have any idea how humiliating this was for her? Standing outside that bridal shop like an idiot, her friends flew in from Denver. Megan and Caitlin took time off work and spent money on flights specifically for this. Your mother was there in her good dress. They all watched her break down in a parking lot while strangers walked by. I almost felt bad about that. Almost. Then I remembered her laughing at the prenup like I was a child asking for candy before dinner. Like my concerns were amusing. Courtney knew the wedding was off. If she decided not to believe me, that's on her. She thought you were bluffing. She thought you'd cool down and come to your senses like you always do. I don't bluff, Allison. Never have. When I say something, I mean it. You're destroying her over a piece of paper. Over money. That's what matters to you. I'm protecting 13 years of work from someone who thinks showing up entitles her to half of it. The piece of paper was just how I found out who I was really dealing with. Allison went off on me, called me every name in the book, then hung up. About an hour later, Courtney came home. Mascara streaked down her face in black rivers, eyes swollen. That $6,500 dress she'd cried about when she first tried it on. The one she'd shown me pictures of. The one she'd been so excited to see in final form would never exist now. Just a deposit lost to a bridal boutique's cancellation policy. She stood in the doorway looking at me like I'd personally burned down everything she loved. The shop was locked. Nobody was there. The manager finally came out from the back and told me it was canceled a week ago. I looked like a complete idiot in front of everyone, in front of my mother, in front of my friends. I told you the wedding was off. Courtney, I thought you were being dramatic. I thought you'd realize what you were throwing away and come crawling back. I realized that's exactly why we're not getting married. She collapsed onto the couch like someone had cut her strings. How could you do this to me? How could you humiliate me like this? I didn't do anything to you. I didn't force you to ignore what I told you. I didn't make you show up at an appointment that didn't exist. You did that to yourself by refusing to believe I meant what I said. I was scared. Okay, I thought the prenup meant you didn't really love me, that you were already planning for us to fail. The prenup protected you too, Courtney. Guaranteed support if we divorced. Alimony based on marriage length. That's more than most people get. But not half your business. Not half your house. There it was. Finally. Honest. No. Not half of things you had nothing to do with building. That was never on the table. So, I was supposed to just trust you. Trust that you'd take care of me. The prenup was how I was going to take care of you. Clear terms, legal guarantees, protection for both of us. But you didn't want protection. You wanted ownership. She didn't have an answer for that. Just sat there crying while I finished watching the game. Tuesday afternoon, Courtney's parents showed up with a U-Haul rental truck. Her dad stepped out of his BMW first. Expensive golf shirt, country club tan, the look of a man who thinks money makes him intimidating. Puffed chest, hard eyes, the whole display. Old family wealth. investment properties, a consulting firm with his name on the letterhead, the kind of money that's been around long enough to think it's actually earned. Clay, we need to talk. What's on your mind? You're making a huge mistake. Courtney's a good woman. You won't find better. She might be a good woman for someone, just not for me. You're throwing away something special over greed, over money. I'm protecting what I spent 13 years building from someone who thinks she deserves half of it for showing up. That's not greed. That's common sense. His jaw tightened. He wasn't used to people standing their ground with him. He came from the kind of circles where money meant authority, where having more meant being right. I've stared down difficult clients, unreasonable inspectors, and suppliers who tried to renegotiate after contracts were signed. A retired consultant in Italian loafers wasn't going to shake me. You'll regret this, he said, stepping closer like his size was supposed to intimidate me. Maybe, but I doubt it. Courtney's mom was crying, quick to tears, quick to guilt trips. Please, Clay, reconsider. She loves you so much. This is destroying her. Ma'am, people who are scared don't laugh at reasonable requests and issue ultimatums. They communicate. They find middle ground. They don't say, marry me as is, or not at all, and expect the other person to fold. That shut her up. She knew on some level. She knew her daughter had overplayed her hand. They loaded Courtney's stuff into the U-Haul over the next 4 hours. I stayed out of the way, mostly handled emails in my office, took a few work calls. At one point, Courtney vanished back inside for a few minutes while her parents were rearranging boxes in the truck. I didn't ask. I was trying to get them out of my house without it turning into a bigger scene than it already was. Her clothes, 3 closets worth, some with tags still on. Her books, mostly self-help titles about manifesting abundance and feminine energy that I never saw her actually read. At one point, her dad accidentally bumped into me in the hallway, shoulder-checking me like we were in a high school locker room. I just looked at him until he walked away. Her mom kept crying and asking if I wanted any pictures of us, like I'd want souvenirs of this disaster. Before they left, Courtney tried one last play. Found me in my home office, mascara already running again. Clay, I'll sign the prenup. Whatever you want, whatever terms. Let's just postpone the wedding a few months and start over. Please. No, Courtney. Why not? I'm agreeing to what you wanted. I'm giving you exactly what you asked for because you only want to sign now that you've lost everything. Your first instinct was to laugh at me and demand half my life's work. That tells me who you really are. Deep down, when it mattered, people make mistakes. I was stressed about the wedding. The planning was overwhelming, and I wasn't thinking clearly. Stressed people don't laugh at their partner's concerns, Courtney. Entitled people do. You showed me exactly who you are. She left crying. Her parents shot me looks that probably should have made me feel guilty. Her dad muttered something about lawyers and not being done with this on his way to the truck. I watched the U-Haul pull out of my driveway and felt nothing but relief. That night, I slept 9 hours straight. No anxiety, no wondering if she was mad about something, no walking on eggshells, just peace. The next morning, I kept catching this faint, nasty smell that didn't belong in my house. Not dead animal bad, just wrong. Like something oily and fishy had been smeared somewhere it shouldn't be. It took me 2 days to find it. Inside the bedroom closet, the one she'd just cleared out. She'd wiped fish bait oil along the back wall and under the baseboard trim. The stuff I kept in the garage, same bottle my dog loses his mind over. I had to scrub the wall down with industrial degreaser and repaint the whole closet. Took an afternoon and about $40 in supplies. What made it almost funny was realizing she must have packed right after because whatever she'd done, it wasn't just contained to my house. A couple of her garment bags she'd left behind in the rush. Stuff she told her dad to come back for later. The oil had gotten on the bags while they were still hanging there. She'd contaminated her own clothes, pulling middle school sabotage on her way out. A day or two later, she called furious, saying half her work wardrobe smelled disgusting and asking what I did. I told her I didn't touch her stuff. If her clothes smelled like fish, it probably had something to do with whatever stunt she pulled in my closet on moving day. Maybe next time don't do your packing right after playing amateur vandal. She hung up. 2 weeks of quiet. I figured the drama was over. Courtney was gone. The wedding was dead. I'd taken my losses and moved on. Started thinking about finally redoing the master bathroom since I didn't have to worry about her opinions on tile colors anymore. Then my bank's fraud department called and blew everything wide open. "Sir, this is First Regional Security. We need to discuss some unusual activity on your accounts." My stomach dropped. What kind of activity? "Someone attempted to add an authorized user to your business checking account approximately 3 weeks ago. The request was submitted online using your login credential, but our security system flagged it because the IP address didn't match your usual devices." 3 weeks ago. Courtney was still living in my house 3 weeks ago, still playing the loving fiancé while apparently trying to get her hands on my money behind my back. Who was the attempted authorized user? Courtney. My blood ran cold. What exactly did she access? Our logs show she had partial account access for roughly 5 hours before our fraud detection locked the account. She viewed balances across all linked accounts: business checking, business savings, your personal accounts. She downloaded transaction histories going back 2 years, and she attempted to initiate a wire transfer of $12,000 to an external account. The transfer was blocked by our large transaction hold policy. Anything over $8,000 requires phone verification for completion. $12,000. She tried to steal $12,000 from my business account while I was sleeping, while I was down the hall 20 feet away, thinking we were just having a rough patch. "I'm coming in today, right now." I was at the bank within the hour. The fraud specialist, a severe-looking woman in her 50s, who'd probably seen every scam in the book, walked me through the access logs in a private office. She logged in at 2:43 a.m. on Tuesday, the same day you ended the engagement. Our system time-stamped everything. That would be approximately 6 hours after your disagreement about the prenuptial agreement. Based on the timeline you've described, the night of the ultimatum. While I was sleeping, she was already trying to rob me. The timestamp kept repeating in my head. 2:43 a.m. I was probably in REM sleep while she was browsing my account balances. She spent 4 hours going through your accounts systematically, very methodical. First, she checked balances across all linked accounts. Then she downloaded transaction statements. Our records show PDF exports at 3:17, 3:24, 3:31, and 3:45 a.m. Then she started mapping patterns when deposits hit, when payments clear, which accounts have the most liquidity. She even exported a list of your largest clients and their payment schedules. This wasn't casual browsing. This was reconnaissance. Unbelievable. At 5:51 a.m., she searched how to add authorized user using your saved browser session. At 6:00 to 8 a.m., she attempted to add herself as an authorized signer on the business checking. That request failed because it requires in-person verification with 2 forms of ID. Then at 6:17 a.m., she attempted the wire transfer. She even wrote deposit refund in the memo line, probably hoping it would slip through if anyone glanced at it, to an account at Community First Credit Union across town. We traced it. Account was opened 4 days before the attempted transfer. Her name only, no other signers. She'd planned it. This wasn't some emotional impulse, getting mad and doing something stupid in the heat of the moment. She'd opened the receiving account before she ever gave me that ultimatum. She was going to take my money whether I married her or not. "Sir, this is textbook wire fraud. Federal crime. You need to file a police report immediately." I called my attorney from the bank parking lot, hands shaking, half angry, half vindicated. "It's Clay. Courtney tried to steal $12,000 from my business account while she was living in my house." Pause. "Clay, that's a felony. Actual federal charges. Prison time. Are you absolutely sure you want to pursue this? She tried to rob me while I was asleep 20 feet away." "Yeah, I'm sure." The police report took 3 hours. The detective handling white-collar crimes was a stocky guy with a methodical approach and the vibe of a guy who'd seen every scam in the book. "Any idea how she obtained your login credentials?" "She lived with me. I worked from home evenings. Sometimes logged into accounts with her in the room. She does digital marketing, understands systems, would know what to look for, probably watched me type passwords a few times." The attempted wire transfer and the pre-established receiving account suggest significant premeditation. This wasn't a moment of weakness. No, she opened that account 4 days before she gave me the ultimatum. Before we even fought, she'd already decided to take whatever she could get. The detective nodded, making notes. We'll investigate thoroughly, subpoena the bank records, trace the IP addresses, document the complete timeline. If the evidence supports charges, and from what you're describing, it sounds like it will, we'll issue a warrant. I added the closet cleaning receipt to the same folder as the bank logs, $43 for degreaser, primer, and paint. I like patterns. Courts like patterns too. Word travels in small legal circles. Week after I filed the police report, Courtney called. Clay, I heard you went to the police. What are you doing? Reporting a crime. There was some mix-up with account access. A misunderstanding. You broke into my accounts and tried to steal $12,000. There's no misunderstanding. I wasn't going to keep it. I was proving a point. What point? That you could take my money whenever you wanted. That you were hiding assets from me. I had a right to know what I was agreeing to. It's my business account, Courtney. My business I built before I met you. You had no right to anything in it. Click. 2 days later, her father called. Because of course he did. Clay, this police situation stops immediately. Sir, Courtney made a mistake accessing your account. She didn't actually take anything. No real harm was done. She attempted to steal $12,000. The only reason she failed is the bank's security system caught it. She was emotional, upset about the wedding. She opened the receiving account 4 days before the ultimatum. Before we even fought, this was calculated. She's young. You can't destroy her life over a lapse in judgment. Accessing accounts at 3 a.m. and attempting wire transfers isn't a lapse. It's fraud. It's a federal crime. You should have raised her better than coming to me yelling about what I should and should not do. Clay, talk to Courtney's lawyer. 3 weeks later, they arrested her at her parents' house, made enough noise that the neighbors noticed. Her father tried to physically block the federal agents from taking his daughter. Ended up in handcuffs himself for obstruction. Spent a night in county lockup while his lawyers scrambled. Heard the country club crowd had opinions about that one. Apparently, his golf foursome was quieter than usual for a few weeks. Legal proceedings stretched over 3 months. Discovery, motions, delays, the usual bureaucratic crawl. Courtney's expensive defense attorney tried the confused about account ownership due to emotional distress from wedding planning stress angle. They even brought in a psychologist who testified about dissociative states brought on by acute relational trauma. Prosecution dismantled it in minutes with the bank's time-stamped logs. She'd researched the account structure deliberately. She'd specifically searched for accounts with the highest balances. She'd noted transaction patterns to time her attempt when liquidity was highest. She'd opened the receiving account 4 days beforehand, not during some emotional breakdown, but during a perfectly normal Thursday when she'd also gone to yoga and gotten her nails done. She'd timed the transfer for 6 a.m. when I'd definitely be asleep. This wasn't confusion. This was theft. She pleaded guilty to avoid trial. Smart move. A jury would have buried her. Sentence: 18 months federal probation. Full restitution to the bank for investigation costs, 150 hours community service, and a federal felony conviction that would show up on every background check for the rest of her life. No more digital marketing jobs at reputable companies. No more I'm a professional identity. Just Courtney, convicted felon. Her parents blamed me until the end. Her mom called the night before sentencing to beg for leniency. I told her I wasn't the prosecutor and had no input on federal sentencing. She called me heartless. I hung up. 5 months later, I was leaving the courthouse after giving a deposition in an unrelated business matter. Contract dispute with a part supplier who tried to charge me for inventory he never delivered. The kind of routine annoyance you get used to when you run a business long enough. When I saw her, Courtney standing near the water fountain in the main lobby, talking to someone who looked like a public defender. Young guy in a cheap suit holding a stack of files. She'd lost weight, hair pulled back, no makeup, wearing clothes I didn't recognize. Probably whatever she could afford on $12 an hour. She looked exhausted. That bone-deep tired you get when your whole life's circling the drain. She saw me at the same time I saw her. For a second, neither of us moved. People walked past, lawyers, defendants, families waiting for their turn in front of a judge, busy with their own problems, their own court dates. The marble floors echoed with footsteps and murmured conversation. Then she said something to the lawyer, who nodded and stepped away, probably giving her privacy she didn't deserve. She walked over, stopped about 5 feet away like she wasn't sure if closer was allowed. Clay. Courtney, I didn't know you'd be here. Supplier dispute, nothing to do with you. She nodded, looked at the marble floor, then back up. I got a job finally. Data entry at a temp agency. $12 an hour. My parents had to co-sign my apartment lease because no landlord would take me with the conviction on my record. I didn't say anything. I replay that night constantly, the one where I gave you the ultimatum. I keep thinking if I just said yes to the prenup, we'd be married right now. I'd still have my career, my apartment, my friends, everything. Probably. I was so sure you'd fold. You always compromised before on everything. I thought, she trailed off. You thought I'd value peace over principles. Yeah, I did for a while. Then you showed me what that was actually costing me. She wiped her eyes. No tears yet, but close. I'm sorry for all of it. The ultimatum, the account thing, everything. I looked at her for a long moment. The woman I'd planned to marry. The woman who'd laughed at my concerns and tried to rob me while I slept. I believe you're sorry, Courtney, but you're sorry you got caught. You're sorry there were consequences. If the bank hadn't flagged that transfer, you'd have taken the money and figured out how to take more. That's not, it is. You opened that receiving account before you gave me the ultimatum. You'd already decided to steal from me. The prenup fight was just you testing whether you could get it legally instead. She didn't deny it. Couldn't. The timeline was in the court records. I loved you, she said quietly. Save it, baby girl. Her lawyer was gesturing from across the lobby. Time's up. I have to go. Probation check-in. Good luck with that. She hesitated like she wanted to say something else, then turned and walked away. I watched her go. Didn't feel triumph. Didn't feel satisfaction. Didn't feel much of anything except finished. Maybe a little tired. Maybe a little older than I was 10 months ago. I got in my truck and drove to the shop. Work to do. Guys, we are so close to hit 100,000 subscribers on this channel. If you are not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. It really helps hit that 100,000 mark. Thanks for making this dream come true.